From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
And now at 5:30, remote learning with the additional challenge of a language barrier. How one teacher is taking extra steps to make sure her students stay up to speed. And homework help that's just a phone call or a click away. The students standing by to help your child work through their math and science struggles.
Topping the lineup today, everything from jeans to masks are touting antiviral properties now. Why you need to be cautious with these products that claim to protect you against COVID-19. And leaving their homes behind to take school and work on the road. We're looking at some new benefits of RV life. And it's important for health agencies to put out clear information, especially during a pandemic. Why online information about COVID-19 may be going way over some people's heads.
But first at 5:30, we're now halfway through the first week of virtual learning for Indianapolis public school students, and teachers are rising to the challenge, especially when there's a language barrier. WRTV's Alyssa Donovan explains how students in IPS's newcomer program are learning remotely.
The halls are empty at Indianapolis public schools, but students are back to work, and so are teachers. They're preparing to help teach students with new methods and new resources. Rachel Mitchell is taking pictures of her classroom to send to her students.
For them to know that that's the place you are going to go back to. Who knows when, but we will. And so that when they come here, when they actually come here, it's not like a foreign place.
It's one of many preparations the English as a Second Language teacher, or ESL, has made to help connect with her 3rd through 5th grade students via remote learning.
I'm trying to be, again, as creative as I can to think of ways that they can make a connection to school without being here.
Teaching reading and writing to students whose first language is not English comes with challenges when kids are physically in school.
So we put the word family in here, and then we're able to make words using the word families.
The language barrier, an added element for Mitchell when it comes to remotely teaching, which is why she felt it was so important that her setup stayed as familiar as possible.
Teaching from the classroom will give us a lot more opportunity to teach the way we would normally teach, and them see us in action the way they normally would, and have access to the learning that would be more natural for them.
Ensuring students understand how their devices and technology works is going to be a daily review for Mitchell's classes, along with what she calls brain breaks to fight fatigue and keep kids focused.
Sitting in front of the computer for hours on end, it's tiring for us, so we've been thinking of cool ways that we can get the kids moving and active and keeping them engaged, because it's going to be a long day every day.
Mitchell says it's going to be a learning process for everyone. She and other teachers will be swapping ideas as the school year progresses to make remote learning as successful as possible. Working for you, I'm Alyssa Donovan, WRTV.
And with so much learning happening at home these days, a little extra help with homework is always appreciated. And sometimes mom and dad just don't have the answers. And that's where Rose Holman's Ask Rose Math and Science Homework Helpline comes in handy. The annual free helpline has started a month earlier than normal to assist middle and high school kids. Help is either a phone call, email, or chat session away. Rose Holman students are available to offer their assistance Sundays through Thursdays from 7 to 10 p.m. This is for students in grades 6 through 12 to provide help with their math and science homework. You can access a tutor by calling 1-877-ASK ROSE or go to askrose.org. Approximately 30 tutors are available each night. Rose Holman has been providing this service since 1991. Kyle, sounds like a great idea. Help mom and dad out a little bit.
Yeah, get a little help with that homework, get it done, and then get outside and enjoy some of this beautiful weather we have across central Indiana. Lots of sunshine, that lower humidity, and temperatures haven't changed a whole lot from yesterday. You notice it's a few degrees warmer here as we get around Bloomington, Columbus, and even around Cincinnati is 10 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. And we are going to start to build a little bit of a warming trend, but for right now, hardly a cloud to be found in the sky with temperatures right around 80 degrees. It's 80 for you in Muncie, and right now Bloomington coming in at 79. As we check out the evening planning forecast here, we'll keep those skies clear, and with our sun setting, temperatures will dip to around 70 at 9 o'clock, upper 60s by 10. And overnight tonight, once again, I think we'll find much of central Indiana in the 50s, even the lower 50s around Peru, Lafayette at 54, and a comfortable 57 from Indy into Bloomington. There's that warming trend. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes. Chris?
We're still waiting on a comprehensive COVID-19 vaccine distribution plan. Meanwhile, Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security released an ethics framework today on who should get priority. Now, there are two tiers of groups that it says should get it before the general public. And there's really no surprise that when you look at that top tier, you're talking healthcare workers who are taking care of COVID patients, people over the age of 65, and those with underlying health conditions, as well as their caregivers. Also noted, people who work in the vaccine industry who will be administering them, and school, food supply, and public transportation workers. One issue with that first tier is that it's a lot of people, more than 90 million by some estimates.
So it's quite possible that when vaccine is first available, there won't be enough for everybody in this top tier. And so there may need to be prioritization within this top tier.
The Tier 2 group includes other healthcare workers, people living in remote locations who don't have access to quality care, and other essential workers like delivery, military, and first responders. It also includes people who live in places where they can't socially distance, so you think of inmates and people who live in shelters. The framework also mentions that this is a decision that shouldn't only be made by experts and officials.
The public needs to be engaged. They need to have an opportunity to weigh in this because, after all, they're the ones who are the recipients of the vaccines, and whether they get it or not.
The good news is the scholars don't see costs as a barrier to the vaccine. And while a vaccine is the best hope for controlling the pandemic, it will not be a magic bullet right away.
If we have a vaccine sometime this winter that's authorized, it will be many months before everybody has access to it.
Now, some decisions about who gets the vaccine first can't be made until one is ready because you need to know how it may impact groups like the elderly or pregnant women. Another issue with vaccine development is minorities may be underrepresented. Government estimates shared with CNN show that so far, Black and Latino people only make up about 15% of vaccine trial participants. Moderna, the first company in the U.S. to do a phase 3 clinical trial, is on track to finishing enrolling its 30,000 participants sometime next month. All right, more in our lineup. Everything from jeans to masks are touting antiviral properties. Why you need to be cautious with these products that claim to protect you against COVID-19. We're seeing more antiviral products popping up that claim to protect you against COVID-19. Pakistan-based denim company Artistic Denim Mills is making pants and masks using antiviral technology that it says tested nearly 100% effective in 30 minutes against coronavirus. Denim brand Diesel is planning to add different antiviral technology to its jeans next year that it says can disable nearly all viral activity within 2 hours of contact. Other companies are selling antibacterial gloves that claim to destroy bacteria and microorganisms. All of these are big claims, and they all leave the big question, are they actually true?
The people that we shouldn't trust, honestly, are the people that stand to gain financially from this. Not because they're necessarily nefarious, but they have an ulterior motive to market these products to our uncertainty and to our fear without necessarily doing the due diligence that we might want them to do in less uncertain times.
Dr. Mark Schurheim is a professor at Harvard Medical School, and he says that we don't know a lot about how COVID-19 spreads on surfaces. There are no confirmed cases of surface transmission so far, so he's questioning if these products actually do anything for you.
For sure, they haven't been rigorously tested. You will see things often, that they have been scientifically formulated or other words like that that make it sound like this is super cool, but they haven't necessarily been rigorously tested to see if they actually prevent the virus.
He points to antibacterial soaps that were all the rage for a while. Then the FDA later said that they're no more effective than regular soap and water. He says instead of paying extra for what companies say is extra protection, just focus on what we know works already, which is washing your hands and wearing a mask. All right, let's take another look at our lineup. Families are leaving their homes behind to take school and work on the road. We're looking at the new benefits of RV life. The situation with schools right now has some families thinking about homeschooling for the long term. Maya Rodriguez introduces us to a mom who's become an expert about what it takes, and she's sharing the lesson that she learned.
It may look like a regular house from the outside.
We live right around here.
But inside Megan Buselli's bustling home.
Or they draw on the walls sometimes, right? So I'll have Landon who's 8, Sawyer who's 6, and Levi who's 5.
One room looks just like a regular classroom.
I have my degree in elementary education.
A degree she initially thought she would use by going back to teach in the classroom. But when the time came for her oldest child to go to school,
At the age of 5 came super fast, quicker than I thought, and I wasn't ready to let go of our time.
so she decided to homeschool her children instead. It's a decision that, at the time, she had no idea would end up attracting attention from around the country.
I think parents thought that, you know what, we need to think of different options for our children.
Which is how Megan, via social media, ended up in the role of homeschooling helper to parents looking to do the same in the wake of COVID-19.
They say, oh, well, I don't have a degree in that. And I say, you know what? Think of your grandmother's favorite recipe that you use year after year. Did she go to culinary school? No.
In the year prior to the pandemic, about 2.5 million students were homeschooled in the U.S. Megan offers parents tips on how to do it, such as check your state homeschooling laws for the required paperwork. Not all teaching is done at a chalkboard or behind a desk. She's learned it's less about trying to mimic a classroom and more about being flexible. Less is more when it comes to lesson planning. Focus more on concepts, not busy work. And she says she knows her kids have learned a lesson when they show confidence in applying what they've learned.
Another word for homeschooling, I think, is freedom.
And she feels homeschooling is helping stretch out their childhoods while providing other life lessons, too.
It's just them seeing how, we carry on a household, how we carry on life as adults. We fit the academics in around all of that, with family, unity being, the glue that sticks you together through it all.
A lesson her children seem to be absorbing as well.
I like math and science a lot.
In Beach Lake, Pennsylvania, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
And tomorrow, AMC theaters will welcome the return of moviegoers across the country, including right here in Indy. AMC plans to reopen more than 100 of its theaters tomorrow, including Castleton Square 14 and Indianapolis 17. The price of admission, 15 cents per movie plus tax. Masks will also be required. Right now in Marion County, movie theaters can only be open at 25% capacity. Hi.
No surprise, many of those are already sold out for tomorrow, but you can win by just going outside and enjoying tomorrow's weather, because if you like today, tomorrow's going to be equally as nice. Lots of sunshine out there. Our temperatures are right around 80 degrees, 79 in Bloomington, 77 for you in Greenwood, and an even 80 in the Muncie area. At the bus stop in the morning, kids probably not going to need the jacket, but it will be on the cool side with numbers in the upper 50s here. We'll keep those clear skies and lots of sunshine as they get ready to head home. We'll be around 80 degrees there. Temperatures breaking down that forecast as we go into your Thursday. There's all that sunshine and temperatures that will make their way to around 70 by 10 a.m. So it will be a pretty quick climb with those numbers. Already around 80 degrees here as we get to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And even though Indy has missed out on the 80-degree temperature here the last couple of days, tomorrow I do think we'll get back into the 80-degree club here. As far as rain chances, we'll fast forward to Friday afternoon. You see on TrueCast, this is 6:30 in the evening. A couple of those isolated showers. Best chance for that here as we go into the end of the work and school week is going to be from around Bloomington, Shelbyville, Rushville, and areas off to the south and east. The rest of us will just kind of increase the cloud cover here, and that you see in the Friday planning forecast with temperatures making their way into the 80s. That 7-day planning forecast shows a little better chance for a shower or thunderstorm area wide on Saturday. Low chance for some rain with highs in the middle 80s for race day. Chris?
A new report through the Brookings Institute finds COVID-19 is the third leading cause of death for Black Americans. A former CDC director also agrees with that. The Brookings report looked at some deep disparities. It says the mortality rate for Black Americans is more than twice that for Asian and white Americans.
So only cancer and heart disease will kill more African Americans this year. So things like stroke, diabetes, all of those are taking a backseat to the coronavirus.
Trevon Logan is one of the authors of the report. It finds the impact of the pandemic has disproportionately hit Black Americans in terms of health and money. Some of the contributing problems are a lack of access to care, more dense housing, making it easier to be exposed to the virus. African Americans are also more likely to be frontline workers and more likely to be in low-wage jobs that have led to high levels of unemployment.
We were devastated in the last Great Recession, and we're only beginning to come out of that tunnel, that dark tunnel, in the last year. So these setbacks that are experienced by the African American community, both in terms of health and economically, are simply a different order of magnitude than they are for the population overall.
Logan says the pandemic has exposed the lack of a safety net to get us through times of crisis. He says there needs to be policies to help all who are unemployed, not just a specific race. Now, people of color struggling more with affording health care, and this is new from a survey by the Commonwealth Fund. 45% of Black Americans say they struggle to pay medical bills, and that's compared to 35% of white Americans. More than a third of Latino adults say they were uninsured for at least part of the last year. 43% of adults do not have stable insurance coverage, and even 25% of those with decent coverage say they still had problems paying health care bills. The RV industry has seen a significant increase in rentals and sales over the summer. One company, RV Share, reported more than a 1,000% increase in rentals. And Alicia Nieves is showing us the trend is now moving beyond just a summer vacation alternative. Some are turning to it as a new way to homeschool and work during the pandemic.
Taking to the open road in an RV has been one of the most popular ways to vacation this summer. But soon, it could be a more common place families call home.
I think it's difficult for families to be cooped up.
Julia Partridge was already considering making the switch to RV life before the pandemic, but after 5 months of social distancing and self-quarantining in her home, she decided to finally do it. Sell the family home, hit the road to live, homeschool her kids, and work from an RV.
Obviously, our camper is much smaller than our house, substantially smaller, but you have so much less stuff and you have this vast open world available to you. You feel less cooped up in the camper than you do in this 3,000 square foot house.
She feels the move to full-time RV life this fall will also give her kids a unique educational opportunity.
We really want to see like the national parks. I want my kids to do like the park ranger program. I want to use that as their science and their social studies curriculum from the road. So we're really excited about those parts.
The Partridge family is just one of many families either committing to or considering RV life in the fall, according to a survey done by the RV rental company RV Share.
We have, from our survey, seen that over 30% of people are considering homeschooling from the road, and over 40% of people are considering working from the road. And that's something that is new to the RV industry.
John Gray is the CEO of RV Share.
You have schools not opening on time. You have a lot of employers moving to work from anywhere models for the extended future. And those things have made it to where RVs are more appealing deep into the fall.
The pandemic has changed so much in our lives. Many people are looking to get away from the uncertainty and continued concern with it. This seems to be one way for some to do that.
It's saving us money and it's teaching them lessons. It's really been kind of refreshing.
I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Alicia, thank you. Now, finally in our lineup, it's important for health agencies to put out clear information. Why online information about COVID-19 may be going over some people's heads. Some of the youngest children, from babies to kindergartners, are feeling the impact of the pandemic. Researchers are finding that a caregiver's well-being is affecting children. Surveys showed a chain reaction. When a caregiver was stressed about meeting basic needs, they were likely to report more emotional distress the next week. The week after that, the survey also found children reported more emotional distress. New concerns about people's ability to understand information on this pandemic. Dartmouth researchers found that many health agencies are publishing coronavirus information at a 10th grade reading level. CDC, as well as the American Medical Association and National Institutes of Health, say that information should not be published any higher than an 8th grade reading level. Researchers say that it could lead to more people missing information.
If high quality information in terms of content, like what the CDC and WHO and other official organizations put out, if that is difficult to access, difficult to understand, then it does create a potential incentive for looking at less trustworthy sources.
Researchers say health agencies need to use short and direct sentences when writing health information, and they should use short paragraphs and avoid that jargon and those technical terms that can get into medical info. Now, it is important to think about how information as well can be presented visually on a screen. Right now, it's not required that states follow these guidelines, but it is highly recommended. Now, Americans are still wondering, will they get another stimulus check? And will the extra unemployment they receive be extended? Tomorrow, we'll look at where things stand in Congress and what job seekers should watch for in their unemployment benefits.
All right, we are getting back into the 80s here the next couple of days. We're going to see a lot of sunshine again on Thursday. A few more clouds around on Friday. Just that isolated chance for a shower or storm, but that's really from around Bloomington, Columbus areas to the south. A little better chance, but only at about 30% here as we get into Saturday. Race day, 20% chance for that shower or storm. Beyond that, it really heats up. Thanks for joining us at 5:30.